Hello.
We should start doing like the headlines under our names again, because some of them were quite entertaining.
I think it was when I ran out of inspiration, which was quite early on.
Well, it'd been a long year and it was cold and everything like that. So, hello, everybody. Here we are again. So, today we are handing over to Kat to talk about Levina Teerlinc. So, in a time when women could never do anything ever because all the men were doing it, she did it. Anyway, so she came in to court at the end of Henry VIII's reign and was said to have trained one of the most prolific miniaturists. So, without further ado, let's have less ado, but we might have more ado. And in case we have more ado, Kat, you should probably do the disclaimer.
I probably should. Hello. Welcome to History After Dark. We swear here. Okay. That's one of the reasons why we named it what we named it. We like to indulge in innuendo, four-letter expletives, filth, depravity, and, you know, a bit of ribald humour. So if you are in an open plan office with a judgmental boss, put a headphone in. If you are in a safe house, a boot, a aeroplane cabin storage bin with a small child who is a problem, we call this child Timmy.
Right, hang on.
I think you might be a problem if you're in those places.
Yeah, because where I come from, putting someone in a boot is like...
Look. Everyone has to have hobbies. I don't come in and piss on your chips, do I? Right?
I don't eat chips anymore, so feel free.
There we go. Right, well, it's because I pissed on
that was just a bit worse.
Timmy is a problem. Timmy is the kind of child that hears one depraved thing just once. You've only got to let it slip out a little bit before, check out our merch, before Timmy takes it in school with him, little sod, and says it in front of his teacher, who in my head is Miss Honey. She, God love her, doesn't watch History After Dark because she's pure as a driven. So she Googles the thing. Breaks the first cardinal rule. If you don't know what it is, don't Google it. It's not for you. No, everything's for everybody. So she's now Googled it. She is traumatized. She's in the corner, rocking back and forth, weeping, non-verbal. Not great when she's teaching 4 and 5-year-olds. So you're called up to school. Why does Timmy know this thing? Also, let's have your bank card because she needs weeks of therapy to get her upright and verbal again. No one needs it. Put a headphone in. All this said and done, it should be evident what's going to happen here. So at no point do I want to see anybody come into the comments here, nor on our individual social media channels, which are linked in the description box. Do check them out. But do not come there to say, I very much enjoy History After Dark. You ladies are beautiful and charismatic. Thank you, we know. But I do not like it when you swear. It is most indecorous. Don't do that. Because we know what you want. You want us to pin that comment so that other people come and humiliate you publicly because you've got a humiliation kink. And I won't shame you for your kink. I mean, they might, but I won't. But what I am going to shame you for, I'm going to shame you for kink without consent. You're involving us in your kink without consent. Now, as we all know, I've got Tiffany on speed dial. She's got a conglomerate.
I hope she's paying you commission.
Yeah, well, look, good point, actually. Could she
the
give us
deal that we've worked out is between Tiffany and I, because I'm not going to let the tax man know, obviously. HMRC, that's a joke. Don't come for me. I didn't send for you. But she's got a conglomerate of PVC bedecked dominatrixes. She's got a whiplash of dominatrixes coming to a basement near you in the immediate... She's franchised.
I was going to say, is she now mobile as well?
She's got a mobile basement.
A mobile dominatrix.
She's got some trucks that she shaped into a sex dungeon. And it looks like a basement. There's no light. It's padded. No one can hear you scream. So
Sex Winnebago.
She will hang you upside down from your toenails and do things to you with produce that feels biblical.
With a courgette.
That's all I'm going to say. For that, you have to pay a handsome fee. She has got U-Hauls to buy. She's got wipe clean clothing to purchase. And she's got ladies to manage. All right? You pay your money and he takes your choice. After that, dear, sweet, merciful Christ, I hope you're all adults because if you're not, that's a problem. Either way, we aren't going to say this is a drinking game. You can do what you like because you're grown-ups, but we won't approve this being a drinking game. This is not legal, nor is it medical advice. Please do not sue. This is History After Dark, and I'm going to tell you about Levina Teerlinc.
Now,
It was very
segue.
refined, probably.
Segue. That was like, that was wafer thin segue. Right, let's hop in. So, Levina Teerlinc is not her name at birth. That is her marital name, but that's how she's known. So we're going to call her that. As is so often the case with people who aren't royal, not just women, but with people who aren't royal, we don't know when Levina is born. I do just want to point out that even for like royal personages, sure, their birth date might get noted down by somebody, but it's not something you hear being celebrated. When do we hear about celebration for Henry VIII's birthday or Elizabeth's birthday, for example? And these are people who have enormous egos. They, to me, don't seem to care about their birthday that much. They seem to care about their accession day or various other things. Just pointing that out, that maybe we make birthdays into a bigger deal than they were in the past.
I wonder whether they don't want to draw attention to their age.
Especially
after a certain
mine.
I mean, also because particularly like when it was Roman Catholic England, often you're named for a saint. So you might celebrate your saint's day. Now, sometimes your saint's day will also be your birthday.
Because of,
but I don't think it has to be
kind of thing. Right. Yeah.
But I don't necessarily know if it has to be. I as a not a Roman Catholic, I don't know. But so I know some people do celebrate their saints' days. Anyway, we don't know when Levina is born, but her father is a celebrated illuminator from Bruges by the name of Simon Benning or Bennick. And we have some examples of his work that Philippa is going to pull up for me. These are 2 pages that don't go together, but they are from the same folio prayer book, which belonged to Cardinal Albrich of Brandenburg. So what we have here is we have a page of text, and around it, as you can see, this incredibly beautiful, I think, and detailed border that is showing images from the natural world. And it almost, the way it's painted, it almost looks like you have a gold background and the things look somewhat three-dimensional. So there's a talent, a skill here for making things appear as if they are sitting up from the page, which is an interesting skill, and it's not a basic thing to be able to do. Apparently, this text here contains a meditational text, and in its original it would have been opposite an image of the denial of St. Peter, which is not what's being shown here, because on the other side what you're looking at here is the arrest of Jesus Christ. You can see there's flaming torches. He's being led by an armed group that look really furious. What's interesting, I think, is that Christ is looking out of the image and almost making eye contact with the person viewing it. And
can I just say, sorry, the reason I scoffed at it, had a little bit of a chuckle there, is that guy at the front holding his robe looks like he's completely superfluous to the arrest, but wanted to have something to do with it.
Yeah, so getting involved.
That's like the person at the front of your shopping trolley steering it.
Yeah. He's sort of doing more damage, more harm than good. He's not helping the situation. But we've talked about prayer books and books of hours as well, many years ago on History After Dark. But I think this is the purpose of images like this, is they are devotional in nature. They are just like the text that is a meditation. People are intended to look upon images like this, and they are supposed to reflect. It's supposed to deepen their connection with God and with prayer. It's a focus of devotion. Unsurprisingly, we think it's very likely that Levina learns her craft from her father. He's a painter, he's an illuminator, and what we're going to see is, although she is famous as a miniaturist, those skills of manuscript illuminator and miniaturist, they are transferable. One leads into the other. A person who can do one can do the other in many cases.
The fabric is amazing. I'm wondering whether that's why he's got the guy at the front gathering it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
look at my skills and talent of drawing fabric, everyone.
And it is. Let's be very clear here. What we are seeing here is a tour de force of talent. Because if you look at the frame surrounding the image, once again, it looks like it's projecting out.
Yeah, it really does.
The fire that you can see, those flaming torches, there is a hyper realism there. The gold of the armor, the silver sheen of the armor, it is shimmering. The way that Christ's halo has been drawn, as if it's emitting fire, and as you said, the fabric, the creases and shadows in the fabric, this is evident talent. This is a showcase of mastery of the craft, I would argue.
I would also say the number of leaves on those trees is about right for the time of year. Sorry. Just a casual observation. I liked the trees, that's why I was.
Well, there we are. There we go. I mean, there's the images, I think, is a really rich image. Levina is, we believe, married in or by 1545, and that is the year that she enters royal service at the court of Henry VIII. We think that her invitation to court comes from Queen Catherine Parr, who is depicted in this miniature here.
Oh, it would be. Sorry.
There we go. And this image we think is by Teerlink. One of the issues we have is that it's lots of the things that the images that are said to be by her, the authorship or the paintership is disputed. But why is Catherine Parr bringing somebody like Levina Teerlinc to court? Well, Henry's final wife is really well practiced in commissioning and providing patronage to artists. We know that she commissions numerous miniatures of herself. She also has members of the royal family painted, and she will gift these miniatures, sometimes her by herself, sometimes her with Henry, sometimes her and her stepchildren. She gifts them to family members, to friends, but also, I think, to potential political allies. I think that she's having these images of herself made and full-length paintings of herself on Turkish carpet, wearing a crown brooch. She is doing this because she is asserting her place as not only wife of the king, but if we look at the letters, for example, that passed between her and the future Edward VI, he writes his Mater Carissima or Mater Carissima, his dearest mother. This image making, this shaping of her as integral to the royal family, a woman who, let's remember, was left as regent by her husband when he went to fight in France, the second of his wives to be able to do this. The only other one he left as regent was another Catherine of Aragon. She is asserting her place, and people like Levina Teerlinc, their skills can be used to help her achieve the polemic and the propaganda, if you will, of shaping her place within the royal family. Levina's husband is a man called George Teerlink, and he is at court serving as a gentleman pensioner. This is a elite and highly selective band of people who are tasked with, for example, guarding the king, with accompanying him to war, but also with representing him on the tournament field at the joust, etc. So these are physically capable fighting men who also are up there enough that Henry wants to hang out with them. This is the world that she's inhabiting. November 1546, we see Levina being granted an annuity of £40 a year. So I went to the National Archives currency converter, the old reliable, and the National Archive currency converter tells me that £40 a year in 1540 was the equivalent of £16,854.29 in 2017 money. That's way more expensive now because since 2017 there's been screaming inflation. Anyway, in the 1540s, that kind of money would get you, we're told by the currency converter, 8 horses. Don't know the quality of the horses, but nevertheless, 8 horses, 32 cows, 125 stones of wool, big or small, could be large, sounds big, 43 quarters of wheat, whatever that might be. But I think most importantly, 1,333 days of wages for a skilled labourer.
Yeah.
So in a year, Levina Teerlinc is able to earn what it would take your average skilled labourer more than 3.5 years to earn. So I think that's quite interesting.
Why are horses so expensive?
Well, because they, first of all, horses take a while to train, to break. Second of all, they are fairly difficult to breed to quality. They also are quite fragile. So when you see, I mean, I'm not an expert in the keeping of horses, but for example, horses' legs, we often see them breaking, right? That is an unsurvivable injury for a horse. A horse can't be 3-legged. And a horse, it's also incredibly difficult.
Just came in my head.
It's unsurvivable. So while I don't agree with, I think horse racing for that reason is an unnecessary risk. Because those injuries are unsurvivable for horses. They're not being unkind by putting them down. It's too much. And there have been people who tried to keep horses suspended to try and give their bones time to heal. The second they put them down, it just re-breaks. It's a nightmare. So horses are fragile, hard to breed. They eat a lot, but also you're trying to breed them for different jobs. So a war horse is different from a pit pony, is different from a shire. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it doesn't distinguish. I mean, like, would more of an equivalency be today, like the car?
Yeah. Yeah. So you probably can pick up like a relatively cheap car secondhand, but if you want a brand new top of the line horse that's going to take you into battle, that's an Aston Martin. That's going to cost you.
You can make your money back in glue in the end.
You can. You can.
You know.
I believe though in the early modern period they were using fish glue. Is my understanding. They use quite a lot of
smelly.
Happy to be corrected on that, but I think they use fish glue. It's not just financially or in ponies that Levina is being rewarded. Roy Strong, and if you are looking into this period, particularly the Elizabethan period, and especially the art of that period, you are going to want to turn to Roy Strong. So I'm going to quote him directly because he says that Levina, quote, enjoyed an unusual degree of social status for a painter. In the New Year's gift list of 1563, she is described as a gentlewoman. Indeed, in 1595, which is nearly 20 years after Levina's death, her son describes her as having been, quote, sworn as one of the privy chamber to the Queen's Majesty. So from these things, the pension, the fact that she's called a gentlewoman, the fact that she's sworn into Elizabeth's privy chamber, I think we can assert that this court painter became a trusted friend and companion in the household of the stepdaughter of the woman that essentially employed her in the first place. So Elizabeth probably comes into contact with Levina Teerlinc the first time as somebody who's working for Catherine Parr. And then she's around for long enough and she makes enough of an impression that when Elizabeth comes to the throne, this is somebody that she also privileges and favours. And we're going to point out that it's not just the Catherine Parr and Elizabeth, because she also works for Mary. what I think this points to is that Levina is somebody who clearly has a skill that her royal patrons see as valuable. But on top of this, she must have a requisite level of courtly demeanor, charm, discretion, whatever it may be, to be given a permanent and paid place as a member of the Privy Chamber. So those most private collection of rooms in the royal palace. This is, everybody else might be in the Great Watching Chamber. You've gone behind the door. Your name is on the list and you're coming in.
And you're painting it.
And you're painting it. You're there. So she is part of a select group that's welcomed into the most private apartments of the Queen, places where her male councillors would likely not have been able to come unless they had very specific permission. It's also, while she's there, so it's not just like the painting gets her through the door and then she becomes her mate. Evidently, there is an expectation, question mark, that her duties will also remain artistic, because the records appear to show that she is presenting her monarch with a miniature annually, at least one miniature annually. And on top of this, she's also illuminating manuscripts for her royal patrons. Now, as I said, it's quite difficult to identify all of Teerlink's work, but I'm going to talk about a selection now that we can say are hers with varying degrees of confidence. So this is disputed, but this one here, this is from Mary's reign. So I talked about how she serves Catherine Parr and Elizabeth, but she also serves in Mary's reign. This is in the National Archives. This is a document that records lawsuits and court actions. And this illuminated P here, in it we have Mary I enthroned. This is a document that's dated to the Michaelmas law term of 1553, so right in the early months of Mary I's reign. So this old guard of court painting, it's carrying on. This, as with so many paintings, is a propaganda piece. This is Mary enthroned. It is a clear statement of her right to rule. Another manuscript illumination we have, again in a letter P, the next one coming up, is Elizabeth I this time. And this is, she is once again enthroned. This is from the Court of King's Bench. It's the Coram Regi or Regi roll, which is from the Easter term 1572. Perhaps, though, what she's most famous for is what we call today miniature portraits, but what at the time seemed to have been called cabinet pictures. This, there we go. This is in some ways very like miniature painting. It requires the capacity to work in incredible detail, but at a very small scale. This is a portable art form. One of the things that's difficult about showing images on screen is that it's really hard to find somebody who's put these portraits next to something else for scale. You know, to quote Dull Men's Clubs, with banana for scale. We haven't got a banana for scale. These are pocketable in most cases. It's or they can be worn almost as like a necklace. Like it might be a big necklace, but it might be worn on a necklace or stored in the cabinets of the elite. These are things that are not necessarily for display. These are private items that you would have of a loved one or a friend, for example. They're cherished mementos. They might also be used in the brokering of marriages, or you might send them as part of diplomatic wranglings for other reasons. So you might have your monarch painted and send them off to foreign courts, which is perhaps one of the reasons why Catherine Parr, towards the end of Henry's reign, is having so many miniatures of herself painted, because this might not just be an at-home issue. She might have to assert herself as some kind of a regent in the event that's the way it goes to the crowned heads of state elsewhere. The highly detailed work of manuscript painting and illumination in that way is a transferable skill for these cabinet paintings. What we're seeing here is an image of Edward VI, and it's been placed in an ivory frame. It's not painted onto ivory, more on that in a moment. And it dates to 1550, around 1550, and we think it's by Teerlink. Returning to Roy Strong, he recounts that the extant records of miniatures or cabinet pictures that he talks about the ones that Teerlink presents to her monarchs. And he explains that in 1551, so during the reign of Edward VI, she is sent to draw the king's sister Elizabeth. We don't know what work resulted from this visit, but it might be the one that Philippa is going to show for me now. The problem is that the attributions both of the artist who created this and the sitter within it are disputed.
This looks very similar to one at Hever Castle, actually.
Of Elizabeth?
Of Elizabeth. Like the likeness of Elizabeth is very similar.
You think it reminds me of the Scion portrait?
Just says Old English School or English School or something like that on it.
I mean, yes. So sometimes this is said to be English School of an unknown woman. Other times they'll say possibly Elizabeth when a princess, or possibly Elizabeth before she was queen, possibly by Levina Teerlinc. What we are seeing is, lots of possibles. We've got a skull in the background, so it's a memento mori in that regard. And the words are an Italian inscription that I am not going to butcher. I'm going to give you the translation. It roughly translates to, alas, death, you take away, and you never lend, and you never pay. So, like the skull, it's a reminder that death will come. We are told that Teerlink goes with her husband in October 1551 to draw or to make an image of Princess Elizabeth. And perhaps this is the one that she produces. So she works in the end of the years of Henry VIII. She's being employed in the reign of Edward I. Whether or not that she produces this, she's being employed in the reign of Edward I. And then in 1553, she presents the new queen of Mary I with a small picture described as a picture of the Trinity. Now that picture no longer exists. So it's not this one, sorry. That picture no longer exists. But it does, I think, show us what these cabinet pictures might also, the uses they might be put to. That it's not just necessarily portraits of loved ones or potential political connections. It can also, if it's a picture of the Trinity, this is a small portable image being given to a Roman Catholic queen with the idea that it's going to be used for spiritual inspiration or perhaps an act of devotion. Very similar, I think, to those portable prayer diptychs or triptychs. Is this something that goes along with this that can be almost folded out? We don't know. Between 1559 and 1576, which is the year that Levina Teerlinc dies, 9 miniatures are recorded as being given by Teerlink in the extant New Year's gift lists. It also seems that during that period, she is producing a whole host of cabinet pictures of or for other prominent individuals in Tudor England and at the Tudor court. So if next up, this is quite a different style. I mean, I don't know a lot about painting styles, but to me, there's a clarity to this that's really very impressive. It's thought that she is responsible for this portrait miniature. Once it was thought to depict Elizabeth I, but now they are questioning that. They think it might be an image of Catherine Grey, who is Elizabeth's second cousin. Is that how it works? First cousin once removed?
I don't understand the cousin thing.
I don't know either.
Removed is generational, isn't it?
Yes. So
that
Frances Grey is her cousin. This is her cousin's daughter.
So once removed, I think.
You can look up if you're
Either way,
so
they're in the
minded,
same
friends who
family
are
tree.
listening, you can look at the cousin family, the cousin tree, and figure out which one it is. I can't remember for the life of me right now. Catherine Grey is one of the ones who involves herself in a secret marriage. She is later becomes known as the Countess of Hertford. This image we can see dates to 1549. There is also another image of Catherine Grey, which we have here, also thought to have been created by Levina Teerlinc. Here she is depicted with her son, Edward Seymour, Lord Beauchamp of Hash or Hatche, in her arms. This one's dated to around 1562, so during the reign of Elizabeth I. And of course, Elizabeth wasn't particularly happy about the existence of this child, or indeed the marriage that produced it, because she does work very hard to find out that the marriage never really happened and to have it annulled. So then the question becomes, who's commissioned this painting, for whom? And I can't give you the answer to that, but I do think it's interesting because it certainly feels to me like it's political, particularly when if you look very closely, beneath the fur, there is hanging from her neck a round disc, which
With
is
another
almost certainly a miniature portrait of a very similar style to this one.
Incredible.
Some presume that this is Catherine's husband, Edward Seymour. Catherine and Edward had married, they claimed, in 1560 without Elizabeth's permission, and Elizabeth imprisoned them because of it. And then later she had this marriage investigated and they couldn't find the priest who performed it. And very helpfully, just before the investigation started, the one witness to the marriage had helpfully died of, I'm sure, entirely natural causes. So no priest, no witness, no marriage. It's deemed to have never happened, and thus the boys, because by that point there are two, because she did get pregnant whilst imprisoned in the Tower, both of their sons are named as illegitimate. And at that point as well, after she gets pregnant the second time, Elizabeth's like, well, they can't be in the Tower together anymore, can they? Because they can't be trusted not to find a way to make more babies. So my question is, who is commissioning this and presenting this woman with her husband round her neck, holding this boy who arguably, by any metric, is heir to the throne? Someone's doing it. For what audience? I don't know. But I think it points to how political the work of people like Levina Teerlinc could have been.
Do we know where this one turns up?
Within
country, or
it's in a collection here, and there's a couple of versions of it, and I think they're both held by the V&A.
Right. I just wondered, if it turned up on the continent, like it's almost like that would have a different story to if it was.
Do you know what? I should have looked into the full provenance about how it got into the V&A collection. That's really interesting. Because it's now in the V&A, but of course it doesn't mean it was always in country, does it? So yes, that's I should have looked into the provenance of that. I'll do that, I think, later. If we skip to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Good Lord.
I have not attempted to count how many figures are represented in this image.
Many.
I'm going to go with, as a conservative estimate, a fuck ton.
Yes. It's very
that
precise.
Is a horde of people. And in many cases, you can see their faces. What we have here, it's called a Royal Maundy or an Elizabethan Maundy. It dates to around 1560. And Maundy is part of the celebrations during Easter. It's where the monarch goes about her people and she gives out alms to the poor. So that's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's incredible.
What's next up? Let me check what I've got coming next up. Okay, yes. So this is another one. This is one that I really wish that we could have had the Maundy one is one that I wish we really could have had a banana for scale, because I think it's somewhat bigger, because some of these cabinet paintings are this big.
Yeah.
I think my recollection is it's sort of the size of my face, which is large. That's a lot of forehead, guys. I'm not going to lie about it. But still, when you think about the number of people that are in this, and that does include the frame as well, I kind of wish we had a banana for scale, but I don't.
You're liking bananas.
So that's what I want to say about that. No bananas today. The next up, this I think is similar to that one of Catherine Gray that I felt was quite stylistically different. To me, those look like they are by the same artist, but maybe this is just, maybe I'm reading things into it that are not for me to read into. This is held by the Royal Collection, dated to around 1565, and it is believed to have been created by Teerlink. However, the Royal Collection's website does point out that at one time it was attributed to Nicholas Hilliard, due to the similarity in style with his work. If it were him, it would be the earliest miniature of Queen Elizabeth that Hilliard created by not quite a decade, but a number of years. However, the attribution of it being Hilliard's is heavily contested. The similarity in style between Hilliard's work and this one may be down to, which Roy Strong points out and others agree with, is that Hilliard was taught his craft by Teerlink. Now, today, Nicholas Hilliard, I would argue, is the best known miniaturist of this period. As a little side quest, if you will, if you go and Google the term Elizabethan miniaturist, you would be, I think, hard pressed not to assume that, in fact, Nicholas Hilliard is the only Elizabethan miniaturist to exist, because certainly for the first number of results, you aren't going to see any other bugger. It's only going to be him. Now, is this, and he is very much sort of praised for his skill at limning, which is what this is called. The way the blue background works, that if you thinking about how small some of these images are, you can see pearls on the cloth of gold, or something glittery on the cloth of gold sleeves. You can see the detail of the jewelry. You can see the petals on the flowers in the hair.
Yeah.
The individual curls of the ruff. This, when you think about the tools they had access to, when you think about how small they are working, this is phenomenal work. And if Teerlink taught Hilliard, it perhaps explains why he was so good. Because if this is hers, this is incredible work. I have a second to last image that I want to show. And this is Elizabeth I receiving the Dutch ambassadors. Now, if we think back the Elizabethan Maundy, when you see the figures full length, which you do in the Maundy, they have these incredibly sort of bobbly heads, but very long limbs. What we're seeing here is Elizabeth I receiving the Dutch ambassadors, and this is produced between 1570 and 1575, and it's thought to have been produced by Teerlink. This stylistic similarity that we're seeing here is referred to as being part of the Ghent Bruges tradition, which is the one that Teerlink's father worked in, and so likely is the style that he teaches his daughter. Roy Strong describes this style as having, quote, their most characteristic feature is a head attached to a too small, spindly body. Their technique is awkward, thin, and often cursory, which perhaps is surprising in light of the regard which Teerlink, was held, and is suggested by her very high salary. Now, I don't think this looks awkward. I think it's really stylistically interesting. I also wonder how much this style has to play into the argument or the attempt to diagnose Elizabeth I with Marfan's.
With
which
what?
makes you Marfan. So there's a school of thought that Elizabeth had a connective tissue disorder called Marfan's, which is why she was slightly taller than your average and had these very long fingers and was very long limbed, that it may have been a genetic abnormality. And I wonder if it's paintings like this that contribute to people trying to retrospectively diagnose somebody who they've never seen and never met.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
I mean,
because people
in this portrait, they all have it.
Yeah.
Yes, but of course they're all blood related. So because inbreeding with the crowned heads of Europe.
That.
But equally,
in a time where women were never tall, she can't possibly have been tall with long fingers. She had to have a genetic
something wrong with her. Yes.
Well, I mean, other people are like, she's so clever, she must have been swapped for a boy. So it's this kind of because all of that sort of stuff. But equally, people look at those later engravings of Henry VIII and they diagnose him with Cushing's based upon the painting. Yeah, look, it's ropey. I'm not going to lie to you, it's ropey.
Someone's getting clicks for that.
Yeah.
So, as I've mentioned previously, there is a connection between portrait miniatures and manuscript illumination. English Heritage suggests that portrait miniatures developed from the medieval art of manuscript illumination. Manuscript illumination usually done on vellum, and equally the same thing is happening with the miniatures we're seeing. They are painted onto vellum, calfskin, in watercolor, and then they're usually mounted onto card. In later centuries, they start getting painted onto ivory and bits of metal and various other things like that. But at this period, it's on vellum, which may be one of the reasons why the kind of facial look is as hyper-real as it is, because it's being painted onto literal skin. So that could be a reason why it works the way it does. But so as with manuscript illumination and with the miniature illuminations, you are using watercolor. They are also talented with doing things like putting gold leaf onto vellum. So in terms of decorating jewelry, making things look like they are bejeweled, these are all skills that transfer from painting images of the heavens, the saints, the Virgin Mary. It's very transferable to the world of creating miniatures. English Heritage says, quote, "The art form flourished during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I at the hands of artists such as Nicholas Hilliard and Isaac Oliver, and continued to enjoy the sustained development in England throughout the 17th century." So in that quote, once again, who's being admitted? Levina Teerlinc.
Bad.
I do want to finish with this. Yeah, I do want to finish with this painting, which is actually said to be by Nicholas Hilliard, and it's suggested that the person we are seeing here is Levina Teerlinc.
She looks done, doesn't she? She's just fucking had it.
Well, painted in 1572, which is 4 years before Teerlinc dies. She dies on the 23rd of June, 1576, and she dies in London. I think it's Stepney. If the miniature is to be believed, the sitter in this painting is said to be 52 years old, which would give this sitter a birth date of 1520. So if Teerlinc is this sitter and is therefore born in 1520, that means when she enters royal service in 1545, she would have been 25. Now, while we can't be sure of the attribution for this subject, I am going to say that that age, that date range, is consistent with what we know of Teerlinc's life, bearing in mind that's also the point that she enters court as a recently married woman. So I think 25, 26, to be somebody who comes from, in quotes, trade or the craft, that's a very common age for a woman to get married. It also makes sense that that's when she comes to court. So in terms of that, I'm happy to say this could very well be Teerlink painted by her student, Nicholas Hilliard.
And do we know when her husband died? 'Cause she's in widow's weeds here, isn't she?
I don't know when her husband died.
So presumably.
But yes, she certainly appears to have been widowed.
Wow, I hope it is her.
Yeah.
It'd be lovely to think we have a likeness of her, wouldn't it?
It would be cool. It would be cool.
What a lady.
So yeah.
Slap on the wrist for English heritage though.
Yes. I mean, I suppose their argument would be that they aren't going to mention her because the works that I've talked about today, and I've said this could be Teerlink's, this could be Teerlink's, this could be Teerlink's. It's always could. Almost always could.
But we know she's at court, and we know she's
producing
tutoring Hilliard. And
we think she's tutoring Hilliard. We know she's at court, and we know she's producing miniatures on a regular basis, and that they are, for example, they're being given as gifts at New Year. But she's also producing others. So we know she's doing that. We think that she trains Hilliard. Roy Strong agrees.
Nice.
So
either way,
a lot of it is supposition when it comes to looking at the artworks. But we know is that she is producing these things, and she is talented enough and or likable and courtly enough that she gets paid a bloody fortune to be at court. As the daughter of, or as herself, as an immigrant to England, with a father who worked in Bruges, she has positioned herself in such a way that she has become the trusted companion, a gentleman with the chamber, and a member of the Privy Chamber to Queen Elizabeth I.
Yeah,
and she's got her pick of the ladies, but she picks Teerlink. So there we are.
I think she's well, I wonder, I mean, people are discovering things and all the time. I hope someone's working on trying to identify her, because if she was as prolific as it appears, then I imagine a lot of it is hiding in plain sight. And once there's some, I've got no idea how they do it, but once there's some way of perhaps identifying her work, that it's a shame they didn't like just do a little emblem on it, you know, like carpenters would do, or stonemasons would do.
Yeah.
Are there any biographies of her?
Not that I have seen like a whole book biography. I think she features in, the story of art, because there's really the sort of the key points of her life that I've mentioned.
Not enough to probably do that. Yeah. I can barely draw a stick man. It's just quite embarrassing.
Well, I mean, your dad wasn't illuminating manuscript for the Archbishop of, wherever else, was he?
True. He was a jazz musician and a dentist.
And she can't pull a tooth either. Or
I'm not musical, so I don't know what's gone wrong there.
I mean, I just also like working on vellum. Working with vellum is really hard. It's really hard. You're basically working on like a kind of leather with a watercolor that you need to build up to opacity, and you might also have to use gold leaf. Yeah, and my understanding is that a lot of limners, which is what these painters would call themselves, limners, many of them would make their own pigments. I'm not sure if Levina did, but many of them would make their own pigments, and to get those sort of really vibrant colors. So if you've got a green, for example, you're using malachite, likely using malachite. If you've got a blue, yeah, sure, you might be using woad. Woad lasts a long time, but then you're looking at making your own natural dyes, herbal dyes. But you might also be importing and using lapis lazuli, maybe you're using oak gall ink, like you're tempering and making your own paints and dyes and then using them as watercolors.
Amazing.
So she's, in some ways, if she's doing that, she's kind of also a bit of a chemist. Maybe I'm overstating things there. Maybe I should walk that one back. But if she is making her own paints,
let's make her into a full-blown alchemist by the end of this.
Yeah, I was thinking
Levina Teerlinc was effectively she turned base metals into gold.
Yeah.
She, in fact, there'd be no space program if it weren't for her. Do you know what? I regret saying that. If someone clips that, I'm gonna look like a lunatic. No, but she's cool enough.
She is.
Regardless.
She is cool enough. Yeah.
And I hope we get to find out more about her as time goes on.
Yeah.
For sure.
Maybe she's one of those people who her work will pop up somewhere. You know, we know there's shed loads of items, portraits, miniatures, I imagine, would be prime to be in private collections. Of course, we know that the problem with them being discovered is that they're not going to go public because of all the costs associated with that. But yeah.
I mean, also the fact that some of them are like in ivory cases because of the way ivory is viewed, and because you can't import or export it now, and all of that sort of stuff. There's a horrible part of me that thinks if somebody found in a grandparent or parent's attic, if they found something in an ivory case, could they just destroy it? Could they go, oh God, I don't want to handle this? Fire.
Oh no.
You would, because you also get
somebody
go, oh, I don't care if it's historically significant. I don't agree with that. You know, like they do.
Well, like Cromwell did to the whole country. So yeah, things can get destroyed, and once they're destroyed, that's it, isn't it? Incredible how long it takes to make something. Everything takes a long time to make and can be destroyed in a fraction of a time.
No time.
Yes.
I hope no one is destroying that, because it's just obvious, but gone forever.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Thank you for that.
Very much, Katrina. Philippa, what's happening next week?
Well, Catherine is going to. She's chosen.
Has done it to herself again.
Yeah, another scientist boffin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you think your brain hurt last time?
Buckle up, everyone. You might want to take a pre-meditative paracetamol. Catherine is going to be talking about Stephen Hawking.
Kat looks like she's bracing herself for this.
We all are.
I'm girding. I'm girding as we speak. I'm girding hard.
Okay.
I'm really afraid of science being talked about, because
I'm afraid
I will have nothing to add, because it's just not where my brain goes at all.
Oh my, as you
I don't have the brain power for it
previously. So
we'll look forward to that then, everyone.
Kat, whilst your brain is just about still functioning, tell us all the other things.
Yes. Well, thank you all for hanging out with us, and if you have enjoyed what you've seen, you can tell us with money. Please go to www.buymeacoffee.com/hadpodcast. It's scrolling on the screen. You know how internet addresses work. I haven't got to tell you. Over there, you can buy us Winnebagos, but you can also join our close friends. That is, I'm being Instagram here. If you see Instagram story circle and it's got a green light around it, that means you're a close friend, and you should go and check out what depraved nonsense Catherine has found about history memes / beaver memes / historical beaver memes. They're there. You can figure out what our group chat is like if you go there, because that's pretty much what it is. You can also come over to our Substack, historyafterdarkhub.substack.com. That is where you can find out about merch, what we're up to. You can also check us out as a podcast. If you are checking us out as a podcast, please give us 5 stars if you love us, and leave a review. If you don't think we're worth 5 stars, don't tell It'll be our little secret. Over here, please do like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, select all in the drop down that will appear, interact with the video, leave comments, let the algorithm know that this is something they share out. That will help us too. We've got merch. We've also got our individual social medias in the description box. So do check those out and follow us there for more good clean fun, not filthy dirty fun like we have over here. The clean fun is over on our individual social medias. And is there anything else?
That's it, I think.
That's it. All right.
Fantastic.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all. Be good. If you can't be good, be careful. And if you can't be careful, for the love of all that is holy, do not get caught. We're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.